Welcome. You are settling in now, perhaps already lying down, your head on a pillow, eyes heavy, ready to drift into the quiet of the night. Together, we'll step gently into the past, a past that is far away, both in distance and in experience. Tonight, we will wander through the world of ancient Sparta, a city unlike most others in Greece. Sparta is remembered for its warriors, its discipline, and its harshness. Behind the shining armor and the heroic legends lies a daily existence that was far from glorious, a life filled with structure, struggle, and silence. Over the next 2 hours, we'll explore what it truly meant to live as a Spartan. We'll begin with the demanding life of an ordinary Spartan boy, trained from childhood to become a soldier. Then, we'll shift to the story of King Leonidas, whose final stand at Thermopylae still echoes through history. After that, we'll step away from the battlefield and into the mysterious chambers of Delphi to uncover the strange and symbolic power of the oracle. Finally, we'll end among the elders of Sparta in the still and secretive atmosphere of the ruling council. All of this will unfold, slowly, calmly, and in detail. A story told not to excite, but to soothe, and to help your thoughts soften as you move toward rest. So now, let us begin. In the heart of ancient Laconia, where rolling hills met the glistening waters of the Eurotas River, stood the city of Sparta, a place like no other. Its citizens, the Spartans, lived by a code of discipline and duty that made their society both fascinating and fierce. The story of Sparta is one that has echoed through the corridors of time, carrying with it tales of valor, sacrifice, and unwavering dedication to the art of war. Today, we venture beyond the myths and legends to explore the everyday realities of life in this extraordinary city. Our journey takes us back to a time when Spartan boys were not just children, but were molded into soldiers. Yes, you heard me right. At the tender age of 7, they were sent out of their parents' homes to live together in communal barracks. This was more than just a rite of passage. It was an immersion into a world where survival was the ultimate test, no longer under the watchful eyes of their mothers. These young boys were thrust into a system designed to forge them into the perfect Spartan warriors. Life in the barracks was not for the faint of heart. It was a world of competition where only the strong survived. They were taught to live communally, sharing everything from food to clothing. Meals were simple affairs, often consisting of nothing more than bread and vegetables, and sleep was a luxury shared in cramped quarters. But it was in the realm of interpersonal relationships where things took an even more drastic turn. Spartan boys were discouraged from forming close friendships, a tactic aimed at fostering a sense of camaraderie among them. Instead, they were encouraged to view each other as potential allies or rivals in the greater scheme of their military training. Any display of weakness was not just frowned upon, it was punished. Corporal punishment was commonplace, and the boys were constantly under pressure to prove themselves. Yet amidst this harsh environment, there were glimmers of humanity. Festivals and celebrations, though rare, were occasions of great joy, offering a brief respite from the rigors of their daily routine. Evenings were spent sharing stories around flickering fires, tales of Spartan valor and adventure that inspired and united them. In this way, life as a Spartan boy was a paradoxical blend of isolation and camaraderie, of pain and inspiration, a microcosm of the Spartan society itself. Now we turn our attention to the infamous agoge, the Spartan educational system, which was as intense and regimented as the military training of today's special forces. At the core of the agoge lay the concept of obedience. Instilling it in young minds was no easy task. Spartan boys were pushed to the limits, enduring harsh punishments for the slightest display of disobedience. A missed command or a poorly executed maneuver could result in severe beatings or even banishment from the city-state. But the Spartans believed that such measures were crucial in forging resilient, obedient soldiers, a belief that might seem extreme to modern sensibilities, but was a cornerstone of their military dominance. As the sun began its slow descent, casting long shadows across Sparta, our young Spartan would have his first taste of freedom. Reaching the age of 20 marked a significant milestone. He would be permitted to roam the city unaccompanied, a privilege that came with the responsibility of upholding Spartan values and traditions. His return to his family home was not a retreat, but a strategic pause. He would now marry, starting a family that would contribute to the future of Sparta. Yet even within the sanctity of his own home, he would not find solace from the demands of his society. For a Spartan man was not just a warrior, he was also expected to excel in music, poetry, and athletics. These pursuits were not viewed as distractions, but as integral parts of a well-rounded warrior. Music and poetry were seen as essential tools for inspiring courage and strategy, while athletics kept the body strong and prepared for any eventuality. Failure in these areas would bring shame not only to the individual, but to his family, and by extension, Sparta. Thus, life as a Spartan man was a continuous cycle of duty and honor, where every achievement, no matter how seemingly mundane, contributed to the greater glory of the state. It was a life of constant striving, a testament to the relentless spirit of this extraordinary society. And as our young Spartan progressed through this intricate societal structure, he would encounter figures who shaped his destiny, some known to history, others lost to the annals of time. Among the most renowned names that resonate through the ages is King Leonidas, whose bravery at the Battle of Thermopylae remains a shining example of Spartan valor. Leonidas, a name synonymous with courage and leadership, was a beacon of strength for Sparta. Under his guidance, 300 Spartan soldiers defied the vast Persian army, sacrificing their lives to buy time for the Greek city-states to prepare for the impending invasion. Their stand at Thermopylae was not just a military action, it was a testament to the indomitable Spartan spirit. In the face of overwhelming odds, Leonidas and his men fought with unwavering determination, ensuring that the Persians paid dearly for every inch of ground gained. The story of their sacrifice has echoed through the ages, inspiring awe and admiration in all who hear it. But Leonidas was not the only influential figure in Spartan society. The Oracle of Delphi, a mysterious and enigmatic figure, held a unique position of power and reverence in Spartan culture. The Oracle, traditionally a woman chosen for her perceived link to the divine, was consulted on matters of utmost importance, both by individuals and by the state. Her pronouncements, often cryptic and open to interpretation, were highly sought after, influencing decisions that shaped the course of Spartan history. The power of the oracle lay not just in her prophetic abilities, but in the faith and reverence that the Spartans placed in her. She served as a reminder of the transcendent forces that were believed to shape human destiny. And finally, we come to the Gerousia, the Council of Elders, a group of respected figures who played a pivotal role in shaping Spartan society. Comprising men over the age of 60, the Gerousia held immense influence, acting as advisors to the ephors and shaping Spartan policy. Their role was not just advisory, but their opinions carried considerable weight. With their vast life experiences and deep understanding of Spartan traditions, the Gerousia provided a stabilizing force, guiding the younger generations towards making wise and beneficial decisions for the state. Their presence ensured that the wisdom of age was not just respected, but actively integrated into the decision-making processes of Spartan society. Now, as the night deepens, let us bring our journey to a close, returning to the serene atmosphere that cradled us at the beginning of our tale. Just as the stars begin their silent vigil in the night sky, let us reflect on the lives of the Spartans, lives that were as intricate and multifaceted as the tapestry of the cosmos itself. We began our journey with the Spartan boys, those young souls who stepped out of their family homes into the crucible of communal living. Their lives, though structured and demanding, were not without moments of joy and camaraderie. We then delved into the intense world of Spartan education, where obedience and resilience were not just desired traits, but were hammered into the very core of a young Spartan's being. We met King Leonidas, whose bravery at Thermopylae continues to inspire awe and wonder. The Oracle of Delphi, with her mysterious pronouncements, became our guide through the realm of fate and free will. And finally, we sat among the elders, listening to the echoes of their wisdom as they navigated the complexities of Spartan governance. As the night deepens, may the lessons and tales of Sparta resonate within you, reminding you of the strength and resilience of the human spirit. Just as the Spartans, with their unwavering commitment to their way of life, so too can we find strength in the face of adversity. May their stories serve as a guiding light, illuminating the path towards courage and wisdom in our own lives. And with that, our journey through the heart of Sparta comes to an end. If you found this exploration of ancient Sparta intriguing, I invite you to continue exploring our channel. There, you'll embark on many more captivating journeys through time, each designed to illuminate the rich tapestry of our past. Until we meet again, may your curiosity continue to guide you, your spirit remain undaunted, and your nights be filled with the magic of storytelling. Imagine yourself in ancient Sparta. The year is indistinct. It could be the 6th century or the 5th. The rhythms of life here have hardly changed. The sun is rising over the dusty hills of Laconia, its light spilling across the Eurotas River. The mountains stand tall and distant, encircling the valley like guardians. But you are not free to greet the day in leisure. You are a Spartan boy, perhaps 7 years old, and from this age, your life is no longer your own. You are taken from your family home and placed into the agoge, the Spartan training system that will shape your every hour. The mornings are cold. You sleep not on a soft mattress, but on a bed of reeds or rushes gathered by hand. A blanket is a luxury you do not have. The elders believe that softness weakens the body. So you wake chilled, the stone floor hard beneath your feet, your stomach already hollow. Food is sparse, a thin porridge perhaps, or a piece of bread that barely fills your hand. Hunger is not seen as a problem, but as a teacher, you are expected to learn cunning, to take food when you can, but never to be caught. If you are discovered, the punishment is not for stealing, but for failing to do it skillfully enough. Discipline is constant. Each day you drill, marching in rhythm, your bare feet pressing against the packed earth. You run in groups, your breath steady, your voice raised in chants. The instructors watch closely. A mistake is met not with words of encouragement, but with correction. Swift, sometimes harsh, always cold. The agoge is not only about the body, it is about the will. You are taught silence. Words are measured. Long speeches are frowned upon. Instead, you learn to answer in short, sharp sentences. The Spartans valued brevity so deeply that we still use the word laconic today, derived from their land of Laconia. You've been listening to the stories of Sparta, the state, the society, the machine that made warriors out of men and boys. Yet, at the edges of its power, there were forces and events that even Sparta could not deny or control. And one of these mysteries is tied to a place called Delphi, high in the mountains above the great city of Athens. Here, amid crumbling temples and marble ruins, history shimmers in the light of the sun. What happened here has echoed through the ages. This is the place where men spoke with gods and where the course of civilizations turned. It is here that we find our next point of entry into ancient Greece. Our journey begins in the great sanctuary of Apollo, where marble pillars reach skyward and where the air hangs heavy with incense. High Priestess sits upon a tripod, her head thrown back, eyes staring sightlessly into the heavens. She speaks not with her own voice, but with the voice of a god. Her lips move, but it is Apollo, so the legend goes, who utters prophecies, cryptic messages that mortals struggle to hear. They come from near and far, from the shores of the Aegean to the steppes of Central Asia, seeking answers from the oracle of Delphi. Among them are Spartans. We know that even Leonidas consulted the oracle, asking if he should lead the 300 to Thermopylae, and his answer, so the story goes, was ambiguous, pointing both to danger and to glory. But who was this priestess, and how did she speak for the gods? Her name was Pythia, and she occupied one of the most powerful positions in the ancient Greek world. Though the priestess may seem like a solitary figure, it's important to remember that she sat within the context of a large and influential priesthood. The Oracle of Delphi was no small operation. There were many servants of Apollo here, attending to rituals, managing affairs, and overseeing the priestess. Each spring, sacrifices were made to purify the sanctuary. Every 5 years, there were festivals dedicated to Apollo. This was a place that ran like a well-oiled machine, but the main attraction was the priestess. It was she who held the center of attention, who inhaled the sacred fumes and uttered cryptic messages. Now, some scholars think that the Oracle of Delphi used drugs to induce her trance. If so, these drugs might have been mixed with water and drunk before entering the temple. Others argue that the priestess inhaled vapors rising from a crack in the earth that released gases such as ethylene and methane. Whether the trance was induced by drink or by vapor, the effect was the same. The priestess fell into a state of intense emotion. Her eyes rolled back, her limbs shook and twitched. She convulsed, she screamed, she shouted, and finally, she began to speak. When she did, it was not in her own voice, but in the voice of Apollo. Her words were vague, metaphorical, couched in riddles and allegory. This was deliberate. Apollo, you see, did not intend to reveal everything. The responses of the oracle were crafted to be ambiguous, leaving plenty of room for interpretation. The visitors to Delphi, eager to hear their fates, read into the words what they wanted or needed to hear. This ambiguity was crucial because the priests of Apollo could add their own interpretations. They stood behind the priestess, ready to explain what she had said, to clarify the will of the gods. These priests were not merely advisors, but agents of influence. They helped shape the words of the oracle to fit the expectations and desires of those who came to seek guidance. And the power of the Oracle of Delphi lay not just in prophecy, but in the ability to shape human events according to the whispers of the divine. One example of this influence can be seen in the founding of the Olympic Games. The story goes that in 776 BC, a man named Iphitos traveled to Delphi to ask the oracle for advice. His question was simple: how should his homeland Elis honor the god Apollo? The response, delivered through the priestess, was equally enigmatic. The oracle spoke of olive branches, of a sacred truce, and a festival held in his honor. Iphitos returned to Elis and convened a meeting with neighboring states. He declared that the oracle demanded a halt to warfare throughout the region, a sacred truce. During the truce, people could travel freely, trade openly, and come together to honor Apollo. The result was a festival that became known as the Olympics. Yet behind this grand vision lay the shrewd maneuvering of men. For while the oracle provided the inspiration, it was Iphitos who interpreted the prophecy and made it happen. He used the prestige of Apollo and the authority of the oracle to unite the feuding states and establish a festival that would bring glory to Elis. As the centuries passed, the Olympics grew. More city-states participated, more events were held, and the influence of Elis and the Oracle of Delphi grew alongside. However, the oracle's influence was not always benign. At times, the ambiguous pronouncements from the Temple of Apollo were used to justify war, conquest, and oppression. One chilling example occurred in 392 BC, when the Theban general Epaminondas sought to liberate the oppressed Helots of Sparta. Helots were the Spartan serfs who toiled in the fields, while the full citizens devoted themselves to wars and politics. They were a subjugated people, denied rights, and treated as property. But Epaminondas, inspired by ideals of freedom and democracy, wanted to change that. He led his troops into Messenia, the heartland of Spartan power, and liberated city after city. Among those he freed were the citizens of Megalopolis. Soon, though, Sparta sent an army to punish Thebes. The two met at the Battle of Leuctra, and there, in a brilliant military maneuver, Epaminondas defeated the Spartans decisively. The consequences were profound. Sparta lost its hegemony in Greece. The balance of power shifted. But this victory was not without controversy, for in the midst of the battle, Epaminondas fell mortally wounded, and as he lay on his deathbed, he called for a soothsayer to consult the Oracle of Delphi. He wanted to know if he had done right to conquer Sparta and free the Helots. The oracle's reply was cryptic. It spoke of a new master, a harsh yoke, and chains heavier than bronze. Some say these prophecies referred to the Thebans. Soon after Epaminondas' death, Thebes was crushed by a coalition of Greek states. The Helots, once freed, were brought back into servitude. The Oracle of Delphi was invoked to justify the actions of Sparta, and its pronouncements cast doubt on the Theban victory. Yet Epaminondas' deeds did not go unrewarded. Even in defeat, he had struck a blow for freedom. His campaigns inspired new generations of rebels and revolutionaries who dreamed of breaking the chains of tyranny. And so the Oracle of Delphi, with its cryptic pronouncements, could serve many masters, both good and bad, weaving its enigmatic words into the fabric of human ambition, desire, and war. The last word belongs to you. What do you think of the Oracle of Delphi? Was it a dangerous instrument of manipulation or a true conduit of divine wisdom? And how did these prophecies influence the decisions of kings, generals, and ordinary people? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And remember, this journey through ancient Greece is not over. There's much more to explore. So hit the subscribe button to ensure you don't miss a single episode. Your thoughts and feedback matter. So keep commenting and sharing what resonates with you from these ancient tales. And for those who wish to dive deeper, additional resources are available. Thanks for joining us. Until next time, imagine yourself at a communal meal. This is warriors, even boys, eat together in groups. The food is plain: barley bread, cheese, and a thick black broth made of boiled pork and blood, flavored with vinegar and salt. Foreigners often described it as unpleasant, but to Spartans, its simplicity was a badge of identity. Around the table, the atmosphere is solemn. Conversation is minimal. You are expected to listen, to observe, to to observe the steady rhythm of discipline. As you grow older, training intensifies. At 12, your hair is cropped short, shoes are forbidden, clothing is minimal, often just a single cloak, worn summer and winter alike. The cold bites at your skin, but this too is a lesson: to endure, to persist, to become unyielding. Your body begins to harden. The daily running, wrestling, and mock battles sculpt your muscles. Yet, beneath the surface, exhaustion lingers. Nights are short, sleep is thin, and rest is never truly complete. The agoge molds you into something beyond an individual. You are becoming part of a collective rhythm, the rhythm of Sparta itself. Imagine standing in formation, dozens of others around you, shields interlocked, spears raised. The dust from the training ground hangs in the air. You breathe in slowly, a deep breath of earth and sweat. The instructors shout commands. Together, you move as one body, the clatter of bronze against wood echoing in unison. There is little space for tenderness here. Affection from family is replaced by the stern gaze of superiors. Even friendships are framed by discipline. Bonds are formed in the crucible of shared hardship, not through ease or comfort. This is why it sucked to be a Spartan warrior. Not only because of the endless training, but because life itself was stripped down to its hardest edges. Hunger, cold, silence, obedience. And yet this is what created the Sparta remembered in history. Warriors who endured, not because they sought glory, but because they had been shaped, from childhood, to know no other way. As the years pass, you begin to carry your shield, a heavy bronze disc, polished by countless hands. You know the words your mother might say if you went to war: return with it, or on it. In Sparta, even love was bound in the language of duty. Now, as you close your eyes, imagine yourself sitting by a dying fire in a Spartan barracks. Around you, other warriors rest, their cloaks pulled tight. The air is quiet. The rhythm of the agoge continues tomorrow, and the next day, and the day after that, without end. This was daily life. This was the training ground of Sparta. And from this daily struggle would emerge not only ordinary men, but kings. From the dusty pass at Thermopylae, where warriors stood their ground, let us journey to a different place in the ancient Greek world, one that was quieter, yet just as powerful in shaping lives. We travel now to Delphi, nestled on the slopes of Mount Parnassus, overlooking the valley below. Delphi was said to be the very center of the world. According to myth, the god Apollo claimed this place as his own, and it was here that mortals sought the whispers of the divine. Imagine the approach. The stone path winds upward, lined with treasuries. Small buildings filled with offerings from city-states, hoping to win Apollo's favor. Statues gleam in the sunlight. Bronze, marble, and gold catch your eye at every turn. Carvings tell stories of victories, gifts given to secure the god's blessing. At the heart of it all lies the temple. Its columns rise in pale stone, catching the warm glow of the Greek sun. Inside, in the innermost chamber, sits the Pythia, the priestess of Apollo, the oracle. The Pythia is not a queen or a noble. She is often an ordinary woman, chosen for her purity, for her ability to serve. On the day of prophecy, she prepares with ritual bathing, fasting, and the chewing of sacred leaves. Then she takes her seat above a chasm in the earth, where vapors are said to rise from below. Here, she enters a trance. Her words emerge slowly, sometimes disjointed, sometimes cryptic. These are then shaped into verse by priests who serve at her side, delivered to those who have traveled far to hear them. Kings came, generals came, merchants and peasants alike came, carrying questions. Should we go to war? Should we plant crops here or there? Should we risk the journey across the sea? The answers were rarely simple. They were riddles, layered with ambiguity. A king might hear that if he attacked, a great empire would fall. But whose empire? His own, or his enemies'? The ambiguity gave the oracle power, for no matter the outcome, her words seemed to hold truth. For the Spartans, the oracle at Delphi was no less important than the spear or the shield. Before war, they often sought her blessing. Before great changes, they listened for her approval. One story tells that, before Thermopylae, the oracle declared that either Sparta would be destroyed, or a Spartan king must die. In this, many saw Leonidas fulfilling prophecy by giving his life. Imagine the atmosphere in that temple, the quiet murmurs, the flicker of oil lamps casting shadows against the columns. Outside, the mountains stand still, the air carrying the faint scent of pine and stone warmed by the sun. Inside, a single voice, speaking words that might decide the fate of entire nations. But beyond the ritual lies mystery. Scholars today still debate what caused the Pythias trance. Was it the power of belief? Was it the sweet smoke of burning laurel? Or the natural gases rising from beneath the temple's foundations? Or was it a more subtle human state, a kind of meditative rhythm that allowed her to speak in ways that seemed beyond the ordinary? Whatever the cause, the oracle shaped centuries of decisions. Wars were begun, colonies founded, laws passed, all guided by words spoken in that quiet temple on the mountain. Pause now, and imagine yourself sitting among those waiting in the sanctuary. You sit quietly, the stone cool beneath you, as voices rise and fall in the chamber beyond. The smoke of incense drifts gently in the air. Outside, the wind carries the sound of distant goat bells from the hills. It is calm, but charged with meaning. This was Delphi, not a place of battle, but a place where mystery and power entwined. A place where mortals leaned close, hoping to catch a whisper of the divine. And from here, let us take one final step in our journey tonight. We will leave the holy temple and return to Sparta itself, but not to the barracks, nor to the battlefield. Instead, we will enter the dim, private space of power, the council of Spartan elders, where decisions were shaped in silence, far from the clamor of the common world. We return now to Sparta, not to the dusty training grounds of the agoge, nor to the clamor of battlefields, but to a quieter, more hidden corner of Spartan life. Here, power rested not in the young, but in the old. This was the Gerousia, the council of elders. Imagine a dim chamber, perhaps lit by a few oil lamps, their glow soft against the stone walls. The air is still. Within this room sit men who have lived long, who have endured the training, the wars, the hardships, and have survived into old age. To reach the Gerousia, a man had to be 60 years old, a rare achievement in a world where life was often short. There were 28 of these elders, joined by the 2 Spartan kings, who also sat as members. Together, they formed a body that shaped the laws, advised on war, and judged serious crimes. The Gerousia was not a place of fiery debate. Words were weighed carefully, spoken slowly. The Spartans distrusted long speeches, preferring brevity and silence. Imagine the sound of a single voice speaking steadily, then a long pause, as the others sat in thought. Decisions emerged, not in haste, but in the unhurried pace of considered judgment. The matters they discussed were not small. Should Sparta go to war? Should a certain law be upheld? Should a citizen be condemned? Their decisions reached across the city, shaping the rhythm of daily life as surely as the clang of a blacksmith's hammer. Outside, the young trained with spears, their shouts echoing across the fields. But inside this chamber, the tone was different. A gravity, a weight of age and experience. Each man in the Gerousia carried the memory of battles fought, of winters endured, of comrades lost. That memory guided their choices more than passion or impulse ever could. There was a balance in Spartan governance. The kings held power, yes, but they were checked by the Gerousia, and the Gerousia itself was checked by the larger assembly of Spartan citizens. Yet it was here, among the elders, that the most serious matters were first shaped, like clay pressed into form before being passed on. Imagine yourself seated quietly along the edge of this council. You are an observer only, listening as the voices of aged men rise and fall. The fire crackles softly. The rhythm of their speech is measured, deliberate. Outside, the night settles over Sparta, the stars gathering above the mountains. Inside, decisions that will ripple outward for generations are spoken with calm restraint. The Gerousia was not a place of glamour. There were no feasts here, no music, no cheering crowds, only the steady murmur of voices, the weight of judgment, and the slow turning of history's wheel. In many ways, this was the truest reflection of Sparta itself, a society that valued endurance over display, discipline over indulgence, silence over noise. Just as the young were molded in the agoge, just as Leonidas fulfilled his role at Thermopylae, so too did the elders embody the Spartan way, to endure, to decide, to hold firm. And so, with the Council of Elders, our journey through Sparta comes to a close. From the boy in the barracks to the king at the hot gates, to the oracle in her temple, and now to the elders in their quiet chamber, each has revealed a piece of what it meant to live and to die as a Spartan. Let us now step gently away from these halls and reflect together in closing. And so our journey through Sparta draws to a quiet close. We have walked the harsh roads of the agoge, where childhood was shaped into endurance. We have stood beside Leonidas at Thermopylae, where courage held against impossible odds. We have listened to the whispers of the oracle, where mystery and destiny intertwined. And we have sat in silence with the elders, where wisdom guided the course of a city. Each glimpse revealed a piece of Sparta, a society both admired and feared, both disciplined and severe, a place where strength was prized, where silence was honored, and where every life, from boy to king, was bound to the fate of the state. Now, as night settles more deeply, let the images soften, the clang of spears and shields fades, the voices of elders grow faint, the temple torches burn low, their light flickering into darkness, and the stone streets of Sparta grow still beneath the quiet stars. You may let these echoes drift away, like ripples fading on a river's surface. There is nothing left to do, no training to endure, no battles to fight, no judgments to pass. Only rest, breathe slowly, and let your mind ease. The history remains, but you may leave it now, behind you, like a chapter turned. Sparta sleeps, and so may you.